The effects of food insecurity, I think, it's very evident. There's the impact of one being able to actually access good and quality food. Most of the products that are coming out of the farm, they have a shelf life. Setting up or building of dams, I think it's something that needs to be replicated. We definitely need the farmers. The farmers will need, government to be able to protect them. They need these private sector companies. Basically, just needs to be quite a bit of collaboration. My name is Mulehi. I'm a principal at Intellecap, supporting business consulting and research, but also overseeing project management for a few of the projects that we're managing in Eastern and West Africa. So there's a myriad of challenges that normally affect food security, and especially in East Africa. So one, of course, is one of the factors that we need to consider when it comes to food security is the actual access to quality seeds. Or generally farm inputs. So it can be from seeds, it can be from the fertilizers that we use, because that is something that affects upstream, which of course has a ripple effect when it comes to food insecurity, because it has an impact on the output of the quality of foods that is coming out from that. Aside from that, another aspect that would also be affecting food security, of course, is the access to financing, especially for the farmers that we are working with, for them to be able to access seeds, fertilizers, seeds, and all these other farm inputs. As you're planting, you need labor, you need when it's weeding, when it's planting, when it's harvesting as well. And then even post that, another challenge which would affect finances, of course, would be the fact that most of the products that are coming out of the farm, they have a shelf life. And so there's also the aspect of how do we store these particular foods that are out of the farm, and that of course also has a ripple effect when it comes to how secure the food is, the final food output is. Again, there's also the regulatory aspects that come into play. So because a lot of this production and all of this there's some regulations from, let's say, like from the Ministry of Agriculture and various other stakeholders, and so those are mostly very stringent, and a lot of the local farmers who are actually the ones producing these foods may not be able to adhere to some of these standards as is required by the government. The effects of food insecurity, I think, it's very evident. There's the impact of one being able to actually access good and quality food, and so especially at the younger ages, maybe like children, lactating mothers as well. There's a specific diet that they need to be adhering to, so to be able to either grow or to be able to deliver a healthy baby, and that is one sort of like very key effect of food insecurity. It's a very serious issue that I think needs to be addressed from upstream, so that we are able to address some of the challenges that we're facing, because you need a productive nation to be able to move a country forward. So there's a number of policies and impact that we've experienced over the last couple of decades as regards being able to be sustainable in terms of food production. One major one I think is the support from the government. I think it's been very instrumental in terms of being able to ensure that farmers access quality seeds, access quality fertilizers, access other inputs when it comes to food production. I think you've also seen the impact, especially for currently, which there's fertilizers, subsidized fertilizers that the government is being able to release to the farmers. So I think those are some of the very basic strides when it comes to being able to grow a crop that is going to be that's going to have a better output in future. And then of course again, there's a lot of policies that have been set by various ministries, be it for example the Ministry of Agriculture, be it the Ministry of Finance, and also the impact of that is also a lot of the local farmers are able to, access alternative, what we'd call alternative, cheaper financing. So maybe not necessarily from the commercial banks, but also, being able to, let's say, like borrow from savings and credit cooperatives, where the interest is much less. There's the table banking, the group financing, where farmers are able to sort of like guarantee each other. So, and the interest, they agree on the interest rate based on that. And then also private sector, a lot of the companies that we have been engaging with are able to, give these companies access to, inputs upfront, and then once the final harvest has been done, then these companies are able to net off based on the output from the farmers. So those are just some of the key, I think, policies that have also been adhered to in terms of ensuring food security. A lot of the strategies, essentially, that we have put across, and I'll speak maybe specifically on one of the projects that Intellecap is managing, called the Good Food Innovation Fund. So, of course, one is access to finance, and affordable finance for that matter. So what we basically are deploying is what we like to call patient capital, which is basically, it's a blended finance aspect, which caters for both a grant and a repayable grant. So the repayable grant element is interest-free, of course, but that is the higher amount. But you see, that is, ideally financing that not many organizations, financial institutions would be willing to, come on board and provide. So we do provide that sort of investment to these businesses. And as I said, it's also patient capital. So what that means basically is that we'll disburse the money upfront, and then you start repaying after a certain period of time that is agreed upon with the business. And so that is one. Second, we do also provide technical assistance support. So for them to be able to, understand the best practices when it comes to whatever farming that they're doing. For example, we have provided, a food and safety audit training for a lot of the organizations that we're working with. So they're able to understand what processes that they're going through, what are the best practices, what are the areas that they also need to improve on. And that I think has had a very great effect in terms of them being able to, be able to, aside from get financial support, they also get technical assistance support. Another key thing which we hadn't talked about is basically the consumer awareness. So being able to sensitize consumers in terms of what constitutes good food. And based on that now, then they would be able to, pick, let's say, like, for example, a more healthier option compared to maybe like fast foods and such things, which may not necessarily be a very healthy option as you proceed. Personally, I think if you are to go the GMO way, I think there's a lot of things that we also need to factor in. So it could be a good option, it could be a good solution, but there's a lot of background thought process that needs to go into it. Of course, if you're not going to be GMO, because GMO basically it's helping to bridge the gap when it comes to access to good and quality foods. But then again, now, with GMO, now there's the question of what is the quality, what is the input that's going into it. So I think most of what the government really needs to do is to really carefully, critique what is GMO. What policies do they need to do to ensure that they are also protecting? So you may be increasing the access to food, but are you increasing the access of quality food to your beneficiaries or to the citizens? So there's a lot of background thought process that needs to go through to inform the decision of whether to proceed with GMO or not. Setting up or building of dams, I think it's something that needs to be replicated. We've seen, we usually have these periods where there's very heavy rainfall and people are being washed away, cattle is being, crops are being damaged, cattle are being washed away. And then the next season, there's drought in this particular area. So, I think government needs to really play their part when it comes to being able to harvest this water and to be able to store it so that it's able to be used downstream, maybe during the dry season. And that, has a ripple effect, especially when it comes to food security and being able to constantly produce over the period. So not necessarily only having a season where you only rely on rain-fed agriculture, but also being able to produce, when normally when the supply is lower, so the farmers are able to produce at that particular point, and they're able to reap the benefits of actually having a better price for their outputs. Something that should be very key for us to all understand is the fact that none of these organizations can exist in a silos. Farmers, we definitely need the farmers. The farmers will need, government to be able to protect them. They need these private sector companies who will be able to purchase their raw material and be able to produce it and sell it. We also need, peers, technical assistance support organizations like, for example, like TechnoServe. We at Intellicap also provide technical assistance support to, both not only to the farmers, but also to private sector organizations, so that they're able to sort of like structure their companies in a way that they're able to meet the demand and meet the criteria that have been set by the government. So there's a lot of collaborative efforts that need to happen with all these stakeholders. Development partners also have a very great impact to play when it comes to supporting a lot of the initiatives which would otherwise maybe government may not be able to afford. So there basically just needs to be quite a bit of collaboration when it comes to how we are approaching food insecurity in Kenya, and not only in Kenya, but also in Africa.